Hello. So after a month in Oaxaca, we've decided we love it, but there are a few things we love the most and we wanted to share those. So
if you're planning a trip, check out these awesome recommendations and hope you enjoy. Here we're at the Mercado 20 de Noviembre, which is one of our favorite markets in Oaxaca. This is essentially where there's a lot of restaurants and a lot of other food stalls. We've gotten a lot of our favorite food here for pretty cheap.
The biggest draws to this market is this hall full of meat vendors. They just have fresh meat hanging out, literally hanging, and you go and they grill it for you. It's personally my favorite spot.
As a vegetarian?
Yeah.
You go to these different carnerias and you ask them for what meat that you want, and then they grill it up, and then you go to another place to get the sauces, the tortillas, the chilies that you'd want to eat with the meat that you just ordered. So it's a little hectic if you don't know what's going on, but it's really, really good. So right now we're in the Mercado de Benito Juarez market, where there's a lot of food and stalls, but there's also a lot of different places to get like clothes and hats and shoes and everything else.
Animals here. There's like lizards and bunnies and
puppies. Very sad.
Did you see puppies?
Yeah, there's puppies in the cages. It's quite awful. That's what I say. We're here in Zocalo, which is essentially the center of Oaxaca. There's a ton of different vendors here, again, a ton of different restaurants, then also the cathedral that we just showed you.
You can see behind us just a bunch of people. There's a lot of restaurants and shops around. Great market shopping, but I feel like the restaurants are a little bit touristy and maybe not the best ones to go to.
Yes, totally agree.
You can kind of see behind us some different shops that used to be there, or like vendors, but as of last week they started getting kicked out of Zocalo, so there's a lot less here and people are kind of closing up shop. But what we heard is that they'll probably be back in a month or so.
Yeah, we've heard that it kind of goes into rounds. So we know that there were some riots and the police came through right before Dia de Muertos and kicked out about 100 vendors here in Zocalo. And then apparently those vendors go out to different parts of Oaxaca and then they sort of come back in. So it's kind of a weird cycle that we've seen a little bit of. So we're here in Zocalo and we're at the big church here, like the Cathedral Metropolitana. Really big.
It's right in the center of town. You really can't miss it. You have to go inside. We'll take you in there too. Behind us is another church.
The Church of Santo Domingo.
It's beautiful inside.
It is very beautiful inside.
But it's closed today, so you'll just have to take our word for it.
Probably for a wedding. There's a lot of weddings in these churches, followed by parades in the streets.
Also, look at these cool plants outside. What are these? Do you know?
Agaves?
Are there?
Of some sort.
There's tons.
They're probably making mezcal out of them later. Oh, here comes a parade. Wait, actually.
Shut up.
So we are at El Tool today, which is closed for whatever reason. It's the world's largest, or widest rather, tree. It's a cypress tree, and yeah, that's real wide. Super thick. I love that. But we can't go farther than this, and everything is just blocked off. It's like they don't want you to see it. Crazy.
Yeah, it was kind of funny on the way here. We tried to get to the highway 2 different ways, and both times we couldn't pass through, so it was a trek to get here.
Worth the $15 cab ride?
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. Definitely come here when it's open, for sure.
Street food. Street food in Oaxaca is so good. You can get things like ice cream,
Tacos,
corn,
empanadas,
fruit,
nieves,
vegetables,
tejate.
See, there's tons of stuff, and it's all so good. And
quesadillas.
yeah, You get the gist. You can't go wrong with any of it.
So one of my favorite parts about Oaxaca was the amount of art that was just available in the city. There was dozens of free museums, there were tons and tons of galleries, and there was also a lot of street art. And there was really three types that just stood out, you know, that was like special to Oaxaca. There's like these wood block prints that were incredible, these like black and white prints and color prints. There was the alebrijes, which we love and we've talked about before. And then also the textiles that are really rooted in indigenous culture here, like the Zapotec and Mixtec people, with these incredibly colorful and intricate tapestries, but also like blouses. That was one of my favorite things about Oaxaca, was just the amount of art. Here in the main part of Mont Albon is where a lot of the main structures were. Some of them were for ceremonies and other rituals, but a lot of the space here was kept to house the higher ranking people. Now, where the lower ranking people or the lower society, a lot of the farmers and artisans, they actually lived on the hillsides of Mont Albon, and that's where a lot of the other farming took place here.
On a tour, don't understand anything. Word to the wise, if you go on a tour here, go on one that you can understand. That's your language. If you don't speak Spanish, I wouldn't recommend a Spanish tour.
No.
One of the coolest things we did in Oaxaca was a cooking class where we went to people's house and they taught us how to use a bunch of traditional cooking tools and techniques. We got to eat all the food at the end, which was pretty cool.
And it was all you can drink mezcal. There was like over 30 different flavors of mezcal. It was just incredible. It was a great way to learn about the food here.
You have to do a cooking class if you're in such a foodie place. Bob. Oh yeah. One of the coolest museums. Look at this place. It's like a castle. How can I have a yard like this?